All right, everybody. So in this video for Power Platform YAML tips, I'm going to cover hard coding sample data like a pro. So you may have seen in a previous video, and if you've not, I'll link it here, that you want to use sample data when you're dealing with things like galleries, right? Because when you copy and paste the YAML for that, if it's connected to a data source like Dataverse or SharePoint or anything really, even Excel file, it's not going to carry that data with it. And so when someone pastes it in, it's going to look broken, and that's not really the experience you want. And you could explain to them to go connect to the data and all that, but you could include hard-coded data that then as soon as they paste it in, it works, they know it looks good, everything's great, and they're happy, and then they can go in and replace that hard-coded data with a connection to live data. All right, before we get into it, let me just tell you a little bit about me. My name is David Warner. I work at Quisitive, and I'm a Microsoft MVP and a Microsoft Certified Trainer, which basically means I love talking about this stuff a lot. So if you'd like to see more of what I do, you can check out my site at warner.digital, or come connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's collaborate. I'm always looking to share ideas, updates, and I'm probably going to share way too many purple and heart emojis. Aww. Yep, that's right. I love the sound effects too. And hey, if you find this video helpful or even mildly entertaining, tap that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments how you're planning to use what you learned. I genuinely love hearing and collaborating with other developers that are putting some of these things into action. And hey, by the way, I run a newsletter where I kind of round out some tips and information around other Microsoft 365 and Power Platform news and content in one easy, not spammy email. So I'll include a link in the chat. All right, if you're not familiar with YAML snippets and Power Apps, they basically let you copy and reuse entire controls in clean, readable code. It's super, super handy. Now, I go into more detail on how they work in the very first video of this series, which I'll link out for you. So if you're new to them, you might want to check out that first. Otherwise, let's get to the tip. So what are we talking about when we say that, and what are the benefits of it? Well, again, make snippets plug and play. Using that hard-coded data avoids broken galleries. Super simple, makes the experience much nicer for those that are using it. Then you could include some data or docs on how to replace it, right? Also lets them know what the schema is that they're looking for. It's very handy. So in this video tip, what we're going to do is we're going to look at using two methods, Concat and JSON functions, to quickly pull sample records out of your real data source. Now, this is just two methods. Don't get me wrong. This is not like the two methods. You can have other methods. There are other ways, likely other power effects you can utilize. I just wanted to show off these two methods. I like them, and they're handy. Right, but then in one case with the JSON, that's not going to give us the exact version or format or schema we need for purposes of records within Power Apps. So we're going to turn to Copilot. We're going to see how we can turn raw JSON into clean Power Apps ready table syntax. We're going to see how it kind of doesn't work at first, and then it does work and how we can make it work, right? So you want to learn how to communicate with Copilot, and that's what you're going to learn here in the demos. All right, so what is our words of wisdom? When the real data ghosts you, go hard-coded or go home, right? So when you try to call that data and it's not there and it ghosts you, the hard-coded data is going to save you. All right, let's get into the demo. All right, everybody, so here we are inside of Power Apps Studios. We're going to use the concat function first to convert our data. Just a little context setting. I've got a gallery here, right? So I've got a gallery. It's pointing to my Lego sets data set. Now that's just an Excel file over here. Of course, this is what we want to replace with hard-coded data. Okay, so to do that, what I've done is, and just also I've got my image, right, which is using set URL. I've got title. Again, these are just referencing back to data pieces within my Excel file. Now, this could be Dataverse, could be SharePoint, could be whatever, right? Point is, it's just a data set. And then I've got description, right? So this item.description and all of that. Okay, so to make it easy to capture that data, this particular one only has 6, but you may have hundreds. And in all likelihood, if you're using sample hard-coded data for your gallery, you don't necessarily need all bajillion of them, right? It's like they're going to load in and people are going to be like, I don't need that many pieces of data. You just want it to look good so that when somebody pastes in your YAML gallery or whatever other element they're doing that relies on data, it looks good, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've created another screen here called Data Export. And what I have is I've just got a label, and this is going to export what I want my hard-coded data to look like. So it's real easy to grab, right? So that's all it's doing. And then I've got a reset label button right here. Those two are connected to one another. And that just resets the label. I'll use that here during the demo. And then I've got a button for concat, and I've got a button for JSON. Now we're going to start with the concat. Okay, so when I open that up and I go over to on select, I open it up. what I'm doing is I'm taking the Lego JSON data. I'm setting a variable called Lego JSON data. And then I'm using just essentially concatenating what will be our table delimiters, right? So the brackets are going to identify it as a table. And then I'm using concat to take the first 6 items. Now this happens to be all 6 items, but again, if you had more, then you could define however many you want. And so I'm saying take the first n items of my data set, and then I do have to kind of write out what it is that I want. Now, it may be that your gallery is not using all of the columns within your content or your data, so you may not need to put in the entire schema here for your data. In this case, I'm doing description URL, title URL, set URL, and then I threw an image URL too. They're kind of the same thing. But by and large, I am having to write that schema out. Right. And so what's going to happen is it's going to provide that to me in exactly the format that I need, because I do wrap those first key value pairs, right? The keys inside of single quotes right there. And then I do the double quotes for the actual values, right? We see that there, and all of there. Okay, so when I click on my concat, right, I'll just hold down Alt, I'll click on that, gives me exactly what I need, right? So there is essentially what looks to be like a full collection of records that then I can just kind of come in here and double click and Control C, right? Control A, Control C. And if I come back now to my gallery and I go to items, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that. So then we're going to see, okay, yeah, hey, you're not giving me any data and it's erroring out. And I'm just going to paste in that hard-coded data. So now it's working great, right? And if I were to come over here to view code, now we see instead of what would be a reference to a data set here, which then doesn't travel well, I now see hard-coded data, right? Pretty cool. Okay, so now let's look at our second method. I'm going to undo this and just go back to the Lego data set, right? And I'm going to come over to data export. I'm going to reset my label so it's blank. And we're going to look at the JSON button. Now, let me go back over here to on select. This one's a little simpler. I don't have to give the exact schema. Now it's going to give me everything in the schema. So if you've got a bunch, then maybe the concat's a little bit better. In this case, it's a little quicker, but it doesn't give it to me in the exact same format, right, that I need. So it's real easy to set up. I'm just saying JSON. I'm giving it the first in records that I want. I'm saying include binary data because in my case, it actually has URLs, right? So I am saying, hey, include that. I do want that. So now I'm going to click on JSON and it gives it to me, but you'll notice it's not giving it to me exactly as I need, right? So these should be in single quotes or by themselves. Now I have them in quotes because in some of these sections like set URL, there are spaces. So you do need to delimit it in single quotes to make sure that it's working right. So what do? Do I go through each one of these one by one and I set up additional code? Now you could, absolutely. Again, you could set up additional PowerFX code that goes in and parses and does all that for you. This was just the simplest way for me. And it actually highlighted another cool feature that we can do. And that's what I want to show off here. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to come over to VS Code. Okay. Now I've got a blank file here. I've already identified it as JSON because that's essentially what we got output from Power Apps. I'm using GitHub Copilot, right? So I'm going to paste that in here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to now use a prompt that says, convert the following JSON into Power Apps records syntax that can be used in a gallery control items property. Now, I probably don't have to get as verbose. I could say convert this for use within Power Apps or as Power Apps records or something like that. That's fine. But I want to be very specific and I'm going to hit send. And then what it's going to do is it's going to say, hey, here's your control converted into Power Apps records. So pretty cool, right? Now there's a little bit of a problem. It's actually given me no quotes around my keys. And it's also converted my spaces to single items, right? Because it's like, well, okay, yeah, you don't need those. Oh, all right. Well, so what do we do then? Well, if that happens, I'm going to get a little bit more verbose and I'm going to say, do not change the spelling of my key values. And I'm going to hit it again. And now look what it did. It came in where it's needing to, and it didn't add in the single quotes for things like the single words, right? So things like description and item and price, that's all fine, right? And again, it's pulling everything back. I don't necessarily need price. I didn't put that there. That's fine. But for those single items, it's working and is not adding in the single quotes. But for those that need it, it's smart enough to say, okay, well, yeah, I know you need a single quote wrapper there. That's really, really slick, right? So then I'm going to come up here. I'm going to select copy, and I'm going to go back into my Power App here. And I'm going to go back over to my gallery. And again, I changed it back to be the actual data set. So it's referencing that data set. So we'll just get rid of that. And of course we get the red X's and all that, that's fine. Now I'm gonna paste this in, bam, it's working, right? And so it's got everything that I need, looking nice and clean and formatted, using the table function, and that's fine. Could have changed it to be more like I had with the Concat and the braces, that was fine too. But again, it shows that there's a few different ways to accomplish this. Now, by and large, this is two ways. I'm sure that there are a plethora of more ways that you could do this. This is just two of the ways that I found that makes it a little bit easier. I just go ahead and utilize some of these. And again, I'm showing off here on this particular data export screen for purposes, of value for you and understanding in the demo. You don't necessarily have to add that to your data sets. You can find other ways to do that, or excuse me, add it to your app. You can find other ways to propagate. You could, whatever, add it to your clipboard. You could set up a button that does all that, however you want to do it. Point is we're identifying what the functionality is for you to be able to accomplish that. Okay, so again, hopefully you found value in a couple of these tips. Let me know what you think in the comments. Smash that like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Before we wrap up, let me show you one more amazing power move. There is a Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community GitHub repo where you can browse, use, and even contribute back to a number of snippets for free. Seriously, free, as in $0. Cost you nothing. You absolutely can use them infinitely. And when you contribute back, say, for example, you create your own snippet and give it back to the community, you don't just get those warm, fuzzy feelings, although, hey, those are good too, but you can actually earn Credly badges, like you see here, Snippet Sourcer, Power Contributor, or Community Contributor. Now, these are great for your blog, for your resume, for LinkedIn. Show them to your manager, show them to your clients, because they prove that you are contributing to the community and you are making a difference for the entire global community. And hey, send it to mom. She might not know what a YAML snippet is, but she'll know you're awesome. The links are here on the screen. I'll include them in the YouTube video description. So please get involved. Check them out.